Hello, and thank you for tuning in. My name is Bill McKelvey. I'm with the University of Missouri. I'll be talking about donating produce to hunger relief organizations. A little bit of background. In 2017, it was estimated that food insecurity in Missouri affected around 14.2% of all Missourians. This comes out to around 865,000 people across our state. As you can see from the map, rates of food insecurity vary greatly from county to county. They go from a low of 9% to a high of 23.3%. In addition, it's estimated that around 243,000 children are affected by food insecurity. That's around 17.5% of all children in Missouri. Fast forward to the present day. Feeding America estimates that in 2020, 18.4% of Missourians are food insecure. That's up from 14.2% in 2017. The projected rate of child food insecurity for 2020 is 24.3%, up from 17.5% in 2017. The bottom line, the need has increased greatly as a result of the pandemic. We have a number of programs in our country that are intended to help people. Federal programs such as SNAP, WIC, the National School Lunch Program, the Summer Food Program, commodity programs, and others really serve as the first line of defense against hunger. These are funded with our tax dollars. They are operated by the federal government in cooperation with the states. Now, during the pandemic, we've had a few programs pop up, including the Farmers to Families Food Box Program. So this program basically provided contracts to food distributors and other types of aggregators to purchase produce, meat, and dairy from the market and make those food boxes available to local charities. We've also seen that a host of programs have either expanded or adapted their rules to respond to the pandemic. Unfortunately, in some cases, these rules and changes will be expiring in the near future. Private charity also plays a role in our country and in our state and in our communities. And largely, these take the form of food pantries or food banks. These are intended to fill an immediate need in communities. They are much smaller by comparison than federal programs. And they operate really in every county across the state and every county across our country. And they're supported by a host of regional, state, and national partners. Now, when thinking about getting started with donating produce to hunger relief, it's important to keep in mind that this is generally something that you would do when you have excess product that you can't sell or store or turn into some other type of value-added product. And I'm not suggesting that anyone sacrifice income in order to donate unless you truly feel called to do so. That is a personal decision. When thinking about why you might donate when you find yourself with extra produce, there are a number of reasons to consider. For one, fresh produce, especially when it's locally grown, will really make a difference in someone's day. I've seen this firsthand when working at a food pantry. People are able to recognize the fresh and locally grown product, and they really do appreciate it. You'll be reducing food waste. There may also be tax advantages for you when you donate. I am not a tax professional, but Missouri does have a food pantry tax credit. There's more information at our Department of Revenue. You can also speak to a tax professional about this program and perhaps other opportunities that might be available to you in the tax code. In terms of how to donate, this is really going to hinge on making a connection with a food bank, which is essentially a regional food distribution center, or making a connection with a food pantry, which is that local organization that works hand in hand with the food bank to make food available to people in their communities. You can call or go online. Each food bank in our state, and I will show you a map here in the next slide, will have a directory of the food pantries in their network. Often they will have contact information for those food pantries. And so that is really a very good way to start doing your research to find out if there is a local food pantry in your community and whether or not it might be a good fit to donate. Getting started in this area is also really dependent on building a relationship with the food bank or the food pantry or whichever organization you intend to donate to. There will need to be some consideration given to logistics and other types of details, and so that relationship will really be key. In Missouri, our state is divided up into 6 regions. We have 6 regional food banks that are part of Feeding Missouri. I've listed those here on the page. I also want to mention Operation Food Search in the St. Louis region, which is not affiliated with Feeding Missouri, but works really very much the same as any of the other regional food banks. So it's these regional food banks that collect food from national sources and local sources, and then make that food available in local communities across the state. As I mentioned, you can go to their website to look for agencies in each of these counties. You could also call the food banks themselves and make a connection with somebody there. Tell them what you're interested in, tell them where you live, and they would be able to help facilitate a connection. In terms of tips for donating, as I mentioned, logistics are going to be key. Schedules at food pantries especially will vary greatly. Some pantries are open a couple times a week. Some pantries are open once a month. Storage capacity will vary at these food pantries as well. Some of them have very large capacity walk-in coolers. Some of them don't. And so you'll want to find out what type of storage capacity a pantry has, which will obviously dictate how long produce can be stored and may dictate when you actually deliver produce to that agency. You'll want to handle that produce with care. So my recommendation is to follow the same safe handling practices that you would for produce intended for market. You'll also want to donate sound and saleable produce. Seconds are okay, but keep in mind that there will need to be some shelf life on this produce because it may not make its way to the end user immediately. There are a number of resources out there that can help clear up some of these questions or give you some additional ideas. I've included 3 here from the university. The first 2, donating produce from farms and gardens, and safely harvesting and handling produce for donation, can both be found on the foodsecurity.missouri.edu website. In addition, there is an extension publication called Working Together to Reduce Food Waste, which is also available, which is also a handy resource. I have included my contact information here. I would be happy to correspond with anyone who has questions, or maybe somebody is looking for some additional tips. Please feel free to reach out to me. I would be happy to have a conversation and chat with you. I've also included the website for the Interdisciplinary Center for Food Security. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope you have a good day.